So much confusion, so little time. Hey everybody, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Brick and mortar coin shop here, the Coin Geek YouTube. We do a lot of numismatics, and of course, we talk about silver and gold because it affects us very much so in the market, in the industry. And we had the first time ever a silver freeze, if you will. Refiners not buying, what's going on in the marketplace. And you guys had a lot to say about that, and I'm not going to lie, it was a lot. So I'm going to revisit a lot of that probably later. But first, for the first time just about ever, I actually watched a video somebody sent me from some of the guys at SD Bullion talking about things. And I have some more explaining to do. So how is the current silver market, with silver still over $52 an ounce as of today, you know, when I'm filming this, but who knows what it'll be by Sunday when this airs. What is the market like for silver and gold? But silver, we'll just stick with silver here. On the wholesale side, still the guys that I sell to are still discounting silver about $2 off the silver spot price, and then running their normal mathematical numbers on things, right? So that's going to be whether you're dealing with 1 ounce silver rounds, silver eagles, 90% US silver coin, sterling silver metals, silver forks, knives, you know, the flatware, all that stuff. You start by taking a couple bucks off the spot price, and then you run your normal buy price is what he'll pay me for stuff, right? So I spoke to him, and I've spoken to a few other dealers about the situation, and there's a lot at work here. And so I'm actually going to pull out the old Venn diagram and go through this with you just a little bit to try to figure out where everybody is on this thing. Because one of the things that I think is missed in this is a lot of people describe things as there's just like, you know, one magical eye of Sauron going on up here, and then there's all of us plebes down here, and that's it. Like, none of the transactions really matter or happen, or, you know. And so just to know that that's real, but also there's the other transactions are real too, right? So we won't completely get rid of the eye of Sauron. He's going to be watching from the side here. I'll make sure I put him on a big, you know, pyramid just to get us in the right frame of mind. Now, collectors, right? So we're going to put collectors down here. We're also going to put stackers. These are two different people. There is overlap on these two different people, right? So stackers and collectors actually overlap. You know, some collectors stack, some stackers collect. A stacker is someone who's just buying silver usually, and collectors usually are looking more for numismatics. Then there might be what you would call a, the LCS is your local coin shop, right? You might also have someone who might be kind of like a vest pocket dealer, VPD over here, vest pocket dealer, right? And I don't mean to put these in any type of order of importance here. That's not the point here. You also will have a wholesaler, different than a real sailor. There we go. I think I combined sailor 3 different ways. You also have a refiner. Oh wait, we have electronically, is that electronically traded funds, ETFs? We also have COMEX, which is a big silver conglomerate that it's hard for me to explain. I almost have to pull up that evil AI thing to get the full thing there. And then you also have London Spot, which is supposedly figured by the total quantity of transactions that they're getting done between all of this stuff up here, right? That's supposed to be how silver is being set. It's not, once again, I'm happy to tell you how silver is set. It's by the eye of Sauron. But the rest of this stuff here, let's talk a little bit more about. So one of the things that's happened for us is we've actually got a couple negative reviews and feedback because, oh, we're so crooked that we're not, you know, paying melt for silver at $52 an ounce. Well, I'm selling it at $52 an ounce, so there's that. And how dare someone, you know, try to feed their family? It's so rude. So the reality is that if you're a collector or stacker, you can do peer-to-peer with your silver at whatever price point you want to. You can go up, here or here to your local coin shop or your vest pocket dealer. The other person here is going to be, I'm just going to call them, what we call these people down here. We're going to just call these the heirs, right? So people just inherit stuff. A lot of what we get in the store is people selling us stuff because, you know, they just inherited it. It's like, I've got grandma silverware. What am I going to do with that? So they'll bring that in here. Now, some of these guys here, either your local coin shop or your vest pocket dealer, you may sell directly to a refiner. You may sell to a wholesaler. But there's actually both of these guys. If I can go to a wholesaler who's actually also going to go over to a refiner, and then this is going to end up either going to COMEX, who actually doesn't take a lot of silver from what I understand. They actually do a lot with traded, but this also can go to London. A couple things about what's happening behind the scenes here at this level, right? So with these guys here, I talked to a few friends of mine who they're trading, their refiner hasn't stopped, but they've said, hey, we're going to pay out in 3 weeks. My other friend said he's not getting paid for 10 weeks. So one of the things that's going on here is the actual just physical amount of silver that's flowing into the system that has to be refined. My friend who was getting paid in 10 weeks, they are literally shipping his silver to Germany to have it refined. Yeah, there it is, guys, right? So, you know, how much of this stuff ends up here or here to me is not really a known thing, right? I'm not really sure about that. Also, for us, from our vantage point down here, when we see a lot of this stuff, I'm seeing like, you know, physical, either like coins or silver rounds or whatever you have. And this stuff, there's a lot of stuff that never makes it up to here or to here or to here. There's still lots of stuff that's going to continue to circulate through here, right? So this entire area down here has like its own circulatory system, right? And so it's, if you think about it, lots of times we've been thinking about things vertically. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, top down. This is the top bird and the poop flows down on top of all the other birds. But the reality is it's a lot more like if you saw a globe and you saw the water cycle, the rain cycle. Sometimes you might only see, you know, this part of the picture. And some people are just looking straight from like this part of the picture to this part of the picture, and they're just blowing the crap up. They're just like, eat them all, kill, you know, like crazy amounts of just upsetness. And I think there's a lot there, right? It's just a lot. So at the end of the day, what is, you know, it's a Venn diagram. What are you going to do? So I tried to learn a few things that I didn't know before. And so when I watched the video, the ST Bullion video, they were talking like everything was going to London, which I don't think is true. They were also talking about silver shortages happening throughout all this, which was a wild comment to me because you literally have a surplus of silver flowing into the system here at the refinery level, so much so that they've decided to stop taking refining. They've stopped taking refining, from what I can tell, mostly because they didn't want to piss off their customers and say, you're getting paid in 10 weeks when we get to it. I think they'd rather say, we're not going to do it. That's one thing, okay? As far as there being a shortage, there's a price point thing that always happens in silver and gold. When you see the market shoot up, you see a lot of selling. A lot of people start selling stuff, right? There's the normal selling that happens, then there's like the extra selling. People taking profits from 30 years ago because they finally made money, right? That type of thing. And so there's also this point at which if it was like almost a balanced scale, it's going up, and then all of a sudden, eventually it tilts, and all of these guys start like running in. All these guys start the FOMO. Because all of a sudden, at like 35 to 40, we didn't have anyone coming to buy. But over the last week, 2 weeks, all of a sudden people are rushing in. Now the feedback you guys gave was that a lot of your local coin shops are buying and selling the same amount, which is kind of what we've seen over the last couple weeks. But previous to that, for about 6 months, we saw mostly people running in to sell and not as many people coming in to buy, right? So the weird thing to me about some of the eat the rich kind of thing, like I don't understand like where all these people were when silver was, 35, 40, but 50, all of a sudden they're all running in. Typical herd mentality. We've seen this time again when we've seen metals move a certain way. The big thing about the top of the scale there, the stuff that I still need to learn more about that I don't understand, is this whole concept around physical paper versus physical silver, which is the big conversation that a lot of guys want to have. And they just want to say, well, everything has to go up because you have to have enough physical to cover. Okay, so this is something I just want you all to philosophize with me just a little bit about, because basically, if I'm trading silver contracts and I don't have silver to cover it, what happens? I default on the loan. And then what happens? Well, who knows, right? Because the history of defaulting on loans is like eternal. There's nothing new to that. I'm just kind of curious about it because there seems to be a concept that we're going to force COMEX or London Fixed or whoever to take on all this silver and back their trading with the silver that they say they have. And based on what I can tell, with the 56 billion ounces of silver or whatever that are in existence, I don't know what the derivative funding is. This is getting way into the weeds. Derivative funding is on silver. I don't know. But, there's lots of stuff I don't know. And I don't necessarily need to know. And there's a lot of people that have told me I'm going to be left behind. And, I feel like there might be some type of space invasion. But I don't know. For me, from my perspective, this is not too unlike 2011, 2012. When you see physical asset, it's also not too unlike coming out of COVID or the housing market. Here's the reality. What they're talking about with the ETF stuff, the paper versus silver, is all based around laws, rules, and regulations. And there have been changes in some of those. And so could we see a run on silver because these companies that have paper assets need to have silver to back it up? Yes, sure. Okay, fine. Great. This reminds me of the housing market crash in 2008, right? That happened because of laws that we as man, we created, right? Like we wanted more people in housing because that's good for them. Well, sure, it's good for people to have housing. For people to be homeowners is a magical way to have a good life. And but we kind of got it out of order because there's also the studies that show if you have a good firm hand grip, you're going to live longer. Well, that doesn't mean you get to use one of those hand thingies and squeeze it and eat donuts all day. That's just because that's you have to be in a good fiscal shape to buy the house. And instead we were pushing paper to anyone who can breathe, and anyone who was underwriting letter, I mean, I had so many people go through that, and they were just signing papers for everybody, right? And is it a good thing that these companies can sell silver without proper backing? According to the regulations I saw, it's all over the place, right? No. Can we change laws, rules? Yes. Will it affect markets? Yes. Is this shortage possibly like a shortage that we saw in lumber during COVID? Is the simple answer that really, although it looks like it's all the stuff at the top of the pyramid that's going on, could it really be just the fact that we've pushed all of that silver up into the refiners and they're just overwhelmed? And that's why there's just this big stalemate? I don't know. And I'm happy to say I don't know. But I just want to give you a perspective from someone who's been doing it a while, who's looking at the different things going on and trying to say, hey, there's a lot of things here. It's not just this one thing or this one thing or these one thing. There's just a lot going on. And also, I always say that I don't know what silver or gold is going to be tomorrow. That's not my job. What I'm intrigued by is the people who know what silver and gold is going to be. Like this, I just find that to be kind of like, and I know who's going to win the Kentucky Derby, right? Like, Sure, I'm right sometimes, but usually my mint julep is wasted on, anyways, it's another topic entirely. So I thank you all for your feedback. I actually got quite a few good remarks. I will make a video just from those remarks, remarkable remarks. The remarks were so remarkable. The words were so good. Okay, all right. Am I frazzled from this? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But anyways, you guys are awesome. Thanks for your comments. Thank you for being here. As always, like, share, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I'll catch you next time.